Good morning, everybody. This is Michael coming to you from GammaEdge on Tuesday, August 8th. We're going to do our morning pre-market strategy session and briefing. We'll be discussing some levels today. We'll be looking at the tick and looking at the overall structure and complex as we head into today and the rest of the week. We'll start with the GammaEdge summary here. That's been posted in the PBI BMO section. It's a PDF here, so make sure you flip through this. Commentary here, make sure you're understanding the levels and how we're looking for the complex today. PM complex, we've labeled out the levels here. 4,500, 4,600 remain pretty much important levels. 4,490 we've noted as negative gex here. Combo complex, understand the commentary here. Again, 4,500 to 4,600, important levels. We tested below 4,500 a few times within the past week. We've been met with demand and buyers as of now. So we'll see how we open today. Looks like we have a small gap down coming in this morning. 0DT folks, make sure you understand the if this then this and where we're at within the structure. We'll go over the charts and look at this. Again, reference the vol U and vol D command throughout the day to look for targeting for specific strikes. I think we have a very tight transition, narrow area that we'll be able to look at and understand price above and below that. We'll go and jump into the PM complex. We're using the new web app this morning. We've cross-checked some of the data and we're confident in using it this morning. So if you are a web app beta tester, feel free to look at those pre-market. We do have some tweaks to adjust. The expected move over here, we are working on getting that corrected, so we'll let you know when that is rectified. PM settled, all expiries turned on, as you can see by the tiles. Transition a little bit wider than the 0DT and the +1 DT, but 45.05 to 45.25. Important levels. Of note, we are call dominated above and put dominated below. So we really have a balance above and below spot price at the moment and above and below transition. So these transitions will be important heading into today for all the expiries. To the downside, we see 44.90, 44.75, pretty important, and then down here at 44.50. The upside, you see 4,500, obviously getting above that will be important, and then the transition level 45.25, and then up to 45.50, and then all the way up 4,600. We have plus gex up there, so we still see targeting above that. So really, if this then this, if we open within this transition, we could just chop around in here or be between this 45.50 and this 44.75 to 44.50 on the downside. But 4,500 will be extremely important. We oscillated around that yesterday, and then the end of day just kind of drifted up towards that 45.20, which is where we closed. So we'll see how we open today and see how price action reacts. The zero DTE here, very well defined transition, very narrow, 45.05 to 45.10. Yesterday spot price we closed at 45.20, so we were above the transition. We'll watch for the opening today, see if we test down to that transition at the open and see if it's met with some demand. Obviously down here we're looking at these calls below us and then some puts right here, 44.90 to 44.95. So this will be an important area if we test down into there. Anything below that really not being targeted, at least on 0DT at the moment. We do have these calls above us. 44.50 to the upside. As we discussed in the commentary, it will probably be tough to make progress above that level unless we see specific targeting with those strikes above that. So that would probably be the cap on the upside. 44.90 to 44.75 may be the cap on the downside. We'll look at the vol D command after we get the open. So just take note of that transition. If this, then this. If price is above, we have a little bit more bullish thesis. If price is below, a little bit more weak thesis, and possibly embolden the bears to move down towards this 44.70, 44.75, where we see these positive net deltas come in. +1 DTE heading into tomorrow. A little bit wider transition, so a little bit more wider and loose, not well defined, so that gives us a little bit of a pause, as we could just chop between the 4,500 and 4,550 level. This transition area, really when price is stuck between these and not really well defined, we'll just chop back and forth. Again, 44.90 to the downside, we're seeing that confluence between the 0DT and +1 DT, and then 45.75 comes in on that +1 DT. It's kind of why I referenced it on the 0DT, and then stands out on the +1 DT. So any probe down to this level, I would look for some sort of demand action. If we're below 44.75, then look for a little bit more weakness. But as you can see, the targeting drops off significantly once we're below 44.75 via the net deltas here. So we'll watch this transition heading into tomorrow, a little bit wider and loose. So chopping around within this level could be anticipated and expected. Here's the balance of the week into Friday. So we narrow the transition a little bit, but almost back to that transition of 45.05 to 45.25 that we saw on the ZODT. Again, 45.50 on the upside, 44.90 to the downside, 44.75. Definitely be watching these as kind of the goalpost into the end of the week here. I think we have CPI data on Thursday. Really, it doesn't look like volatility is being expected into Thursday that much, so we may just be status quo, but understand where we're at within the transition. Above 45.25 P-trans, I'd look for a drift up to 45.50, and then below this transition level, a little bit more weakness and possible drift down into here. Again, not a collapsing type environment or a quick sell-off, but just really to these two goalposts, unless we see a major shift in sentiment and targeting above and below these levels. Here's the combo complex, all expiries turned on. Again, same transition that we're actually seeing on the +1 DT and balance of the week. So really well-defined transition for the rest of the week, which could lead us to the point of just chopping around this level or staying between a couple of goalposts. Again, 4,500 for the combo complex, extremely important here with the net delta. And then above we have 45.50 all the way up to 45.75. We still see targeting at 4600, which is plus GEX, and 46.50. We'll look at the landscape view and you'll be able to see that we still have call speculators above us, which is bullish. And then we've had a lot of liquidity fill in below us, which is supportive. I do note this 4,400 down here, 6 billion net delta, 44.50 here. So any weakness, these are obviously call dominated, still within the structure, which is supportive of demand and bullish. But any move down below 44.50, I would anticipate 4,400 to be that bottom area that we could look for some demand to come in via these positive net deltas and calls sitting down here. Again, moving below 44.50, you see it really drops off significantly with the net deltas and these gamma bars here. So targeting below 44.50 really is absent at the moment. So we'll see. Not anticipating much move below that. And then again, same as the upside. So watch this transition again. Heading into the week, above we'd look for a drift to the upside, and below possibly a little bit more weakness down to that 44.75 and 44.50. I like the landscape view on our web app now. You can zoom in if you left click and drag, but really as we're just discussing the symmetry and balance, what you're seeing, this liquidity was absent, but within the past couple weeks it's really started to fill in, which is a supportive type action. A lot of people wonder, puts coming up under price, is this a little bit more bearish? And puts filling in is actually not. We've discussed this in open mics and in the chat room multiple times. So this is just opportunistic people taking the opportunity to fill in below 45.25, and then if price moves down, being in the money on these puts, capture these in the money puts, and then monetization as price moves down just in a short term. 4,500, extremely important there. We noticed that. But as you can see, as I discussed on the combo complex, the liquidity drops off and the targeting drops off as we're seeing this symmetry. So if we started seeing a lot of targeting down here, then we'd anticipate further weakness, but you see that kind of drops off. And then up here, 4,600 plus GEX has remained. We still see 4,800 being targeted. 4,700 is here, and then even 5,000 out here. So call speculators are still present, and this is still bullish as we have noted here. We'll take a look at the cumulative tick. Yesterday we discussed the bolded white CT was starting to move above the moving averages, but CT is off, railroad track is off, and ribbon is off, and we've got a negative slope, as I'll show in the next slide here. So still cautionary. This could break either way. Once we're at the bottom of the ribbon, we could either turn to a railroad track on and start moving back above the ribbon to a bullish state, or start living below the colored ribbon and below the cyan, which would be a more bearish state. Here's with the ribbon turned off, just the bolded CT. We want to see the CT close above the previous day close, which we did not see yesterday. So we've noted that here with the arrow there. And then we're watching the CT with the moving averages. Obviously the close here, noted here, but we've closed below the previous day. So that's important to watch day over day, and this is how we do our combo tags. If you're not familiar with that, make sure you check those out. And then the ribbon is turned off, but we just have the red and the cyan, which is the top and the bottom of the colored ribbon, noted by the X's here. So again, negative slope on the red, pretty much flat on the cyan at the moment, and then we close below the previous low. We'll go ahead and move on to the what we're looking at pre-market here. This is the 5 p.m. trading view run. I've noticed some levels from yesterday, and I'm going to adjust those for the commentary that we saw on the summary this morning. Again, 4520 overhead is going to be extremely important. 4500 COTMP on the 5 p.m. run yesterday was 44.97. So if price is moving up to that level, 4500 really is going to be important. You can see the first almost 2 hours of the day we just oscillated right around 4500, and then we had some drift towards the end of the day. I wouldn't really even call this buying. The reason why I discussed that in the afternoon yesterday was we did see filter ticks here, but new lows were still outpacing new highs. Again, it was almost some parity here. -34 is the difference between the new lows and new highs. So not a significant divergence there, but cumulative tick really just oscillated around 0, and then we just started to drift towards the end of the day. So this is some buying towards the end of the day, but not a significant amount really to change my thesis or my status. Looking at the weakness in the market, and then the tick US obviously is living below the colored ribbon, so this is also important and in a weak type of environment. So if we're going to move up and have a transition in state change in tick, you'd want to see this start to live above the moving averages on the tick US and the tick ARCX. You'd want to see the cumulative tick start to drift back to the upside. You'd want to see filter tick, which is plus minus 1,000 transactions, start to move up to the upper right and living above 0. And then you want to see the new highs outpacing new lows. Actually, the past 3 out of 4 days, the new lows have been outpacing new highs. So this is a weak type structure and weak type environment. All right. Hopefully that helps. Hope everybody have a great day. Let us know if you need anything. Tag at admin or post in the hashtag questions channel. We'll be in the Discord here in just a few minutes to discuss where we're at pre-market. And that's it. Everybody make it a great day, and we'll see you in the Discord in just a minute. Thanks.